Hey, so we all know and love Asmongold, the friendly degenerate we all wish we could be. There is one group that hates Asmongold, and it's the WoW development team. And so I thought it might be valuable to go over the videos where Asmongold was confrontational with people on the WoW team. Usually over Twitter, they would tweet about him and he would talk about the subject. And I think it's valuable to see why the WoW community is always seeing the developers and creators of the game of World of Warcraft as adversarial. And hopefully, if this kind of like series of these videos on Asmongold versus Blizzard does well, then I'll be able to branch that out into other content creators versus other companies. All right, so the first video I'm going to start with is the one that I think kind of set this whole like recent kind of battle off between Asmon and the developers. Is earlier this year when one of the people on the WoW team called Asmongold an asshole on Twitter, responding to a second tweet, and we'll go over Asmongold's video about it. Now, calling someone an asshole by itself isn't like a big deal. It's in the context where he was basically advocating for Asmongold's harassment, and we'll talk about that more in the video. But yeah, let's just see what Asmongold has to say about it and what the actual problems were, and then I can give some insight into this and talk about both sides a little bit.
Lead product manager and data at Blizzard calls Asmongold an asshole. So I have been called an asshole by somebody at Blizzard. They're right. I am an asshole.
Okay, so we have this tweet right here, which is the tweet that this person was responding to. And immediately, when we look at these two people, we can see something that's very important. One, we can see that this person is a lead product manager at Blizzard Entertainment, okay? So, and they're verified. So, one, automatically giving them some kind of authority, or at least from what people might think this person's views are on Asmongold are, in respect to the company of Blizzard Entertainment. Even though he has this views expressed are my own, it's still, this is the first thing people see when they look at your bio. And then he's calling Asmongold an asshole in response to this tweet right here. So let's go ahead and read this tweet. Asmongold's kind of a hatred and rudeness is not welcome in Final Fantasy XIV. It's the responsibility of every decent player to overwhelmingly report every single incident of it and make sure he's run off quickly. Do not give him or his fanboys room. Yeah, so this is kind of significant because unless Asmongold is some kind of horrible person that you don't want in your community, which apparently this person does, then there's no reason that you would ever have people following him around and mass reporting him. That by itself is already toxic. So this person advocating for some kind of toxic behavior against Asmongold is not okay just because you don't like him. And the only way this would maybe even be remotely okay is if Asmongold had done something so horrendous, so horrible, that you didn't want him to be anywhere near the community, in which case you would try to prevent him from being part of the community at all. Like, him just being kind of like abrasive is not enough. Like, he would have to be like openly like racist, homophobic, transphobic. Like, you would have to have someone who is like attacking entire swaths of people relentlessly to even justify this level of response. So this is already just ultra dramatic, like way over the top dramatic for anything that Asmongold's ever done. And then this person is condoning that behavior in the capacity, even though their views express their own, they're still a high up position within Blizzard. So they set the culture for anyone below them. So already you have this problem where this person is condoning harassment and he's kind of setting that culture for anyone below him at Blizzard Entertainment.
I think they would think I was less of an asshole if they did their job right, though. Now, whenever I talk about this kind
Yeah, so that's another thing I didn't really talk about yet is what he's saying is like the only reason I think I'm an asshole is because I talk negatively about the game, but I wouldn't talk so negatively about the game if the game was good. So make the game good and then I won't be an asshole. So it's one thing to call me an asshole because I have said things about people or things that are unchangeable, but not really. All he's really done is talked about the game in a negative way because it's bad. So this person's mad that Asmongold thinks the game is bad when almost everyone thinks the game is bad. And so he's like, oh, he's an asshole for saying the game is bad. It's like, dude, you should have just made a better game. You know?
Kind of stuff. I don't want to see this guy get hate. I don't want to see him get fired or something like that, or people get mad about it or anything. This is not a big deal to me. I talk shit about Blizzard all the time. If you think that I'm going to get my feelings hurt like a little fucking baby if one of them calls me an asshole, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. I don't care. No, I think that they're dumb. I definitely think they're dumb. But they think I'm dumb too, so it is what it is. The thing is, like, listen, I've always said this before, right? It's like, I'm sure there's a lot of people at Blizzard that don't like me. It makes sense that they don't like me because, I mean, I talk and I criticize their game a lot. I'm very outspoken, and I think really one of the big reasons why they don't like me is the fact that I'm not politically correct. I represent all of the negative stereotypes that Blizzard likes to pretend like they don't have, and that's really the truth, right? Like,
Okay, I disagree with Asmongold here. I don't think that very many people at Blizzard don't like him because he's not politically correct. I feel like most people that don't like him at Blizzard Entertainment don't like him because he's negative about the game. I think that's pretty much as far as it goes. Like, I don't think it goes beyond that very often. You know, just because he's not politically correct, just because he does say things in kind of a very confrontational way, doesn't, like, most people. I mean, look at his viewer counts. It's not really that big of a problem for most people. So I find it hard to believe that their problem is that he's not politically correct. It's probably more so that he's just super critical of their game.
I am bad PR for them. And if you go and you look at these people's Twitter, so like this guy, so he was responding to a tweet. This is actually really kind of funny. I'm not going to pull the tweet up because nobody needs to see who it is, but just think about it like this. I would read you the Twitter bio, but I can go ahead and just paraphrase it for you. 31-year-old anti-fascist furry that is a gender expert.
Okay, I mean, we can go over this person's bio and why Asmongold kind of feels that way. Although I will say, I don't know if being an anti-fascist gender expert furry would really put you into any kind of like group necessarily in Twitter. But I mean, if we look at this person's actual bio, we can see why Asmongold had that kind of reaction. Is because so one, they're far left anti-fascist techno anarchists. Now, everyone's entitled to like their own like political views, of course, but when you've put yourself into this very niche kind of group, far left anti-fascist techno anarchists, so now you're in this very specific politically leaning group. That means anybody to the right of you, which if you're far left is pretty much every single person on the planet, is now open to being attacked. This person is going to attack anybody to the right of them like ruthlessly, and we can like this person's a techno anarchist as well, so they are going to attack anyone who believes in like a centralized authority or government on pretty much anything. They're going to hate hierarchies on anything, and then they're anti-fascist, which I mean, I would hope most people are anti-fascist, but this word has taken on kind of a new meaning, I would say, at least in America, due to a lot of the recent things that are happening that happened, like Proud Boys and anti-fascist. But when you've now, instead of just being like against fascism, and when this is in your title, a lot of people, at least in America, and I don't think this person is in America since their stuff is in Spanish, but they could be. A lot of people in America will kind of attribute this to, you know, rioting and burning buildings down and stuff like that. And like you put that next to anarchist, which even though some anarchists might believe in like peaceful kind of like transitions and stuff, like the kind of general perception is that these people are going to like create like riots and stuff in order to create anarchy. So now that they've had this is a very divisive political view here where you're putting yourself all the way to the left of almost everyone. You're anti-fascist, so at least in American politics, you're ready to riot and like physically attack people if you believe that they are fascist. And then techno anarchists, where you have you believe in anarchy, you don't believe in any kind of hierarchy. Now you've put yourself in this position where this already seems like you're going to attack almost everybody on the internet. And then next to that, you put that you're a shit poster. So already now people don't know if you're trolling or not. Now it seems like you might just be doing all this stuff for the like the retweets or like the viewage of like this like attack on Asmongold or whatever. Because you've put all this divisive stuff and now you're saying like I might also troll you. I don't know. And then Twitch affiliate doesn't matter. Rural but people friendly furry. I mean they're just talking about their furry and like we can say like furry is like a counterculture in itself, but I don't really think this matters that much. I don't think this is indicative of anything that they're going to say because nothing they've said so far has anything to do with being a furry or anything like that. So I don't think that matters. Actually autistic, I don't think that matters. Gender expert. So I don't know how this person's a gender expert. Is that like your job? Do you have a degree? Like, what do you mean gender expert? Like, I don't really know. So this is kind of useless to put on there, but it also, since you don't have any kind of credentials and you're not really telling anyone what you're talking about here, it just seems like now you're going to attack anybody who might even accidentally say something about gender that's wrong. So now this person is, they're going to attack people who say something wrong about gender. They're going to attack anybody to the right of them, which is pretty much everybody. And then they're also like a troll. So this creates like a huge sense of like drama that can be created from this one poster. And I think Asmongold kind of got the brunt of that here.
Okay. So this is the kind of person that we're dealing with here. These are the, and the best thing about this is that these are the people who like to, they like to put themselves out there as if they are the most ethical and the best people possible. These are the people who like to tell other people how to act and how to interact with each other.
Yeah, so that's true. Like this person right here, based on like just these kinds of things, probably believes that like morally they're infallible. So when that happens, it's going to be very hard to even have a conversation with this person. I'm sure everyone has had a conversation with somebody where that person doesn't even seem like they care about what you're saying. They're just trying to defeat you in some way. That like they're not worried about like the actual arguments, and they will believe that they're right without any, and they'll believe they're right 100% of the time, no matter what happens, no matter what you say. Even if you destroy them like rhetorically or logically, like they're just going to continue believing they're right. And that person is a very hard person to deal with because they're not going to stop. Like they don't care how many times you prove them wrong. They're just going to keep trying to argue with you. So I think what Asmongold needs to do here is just not engage with this person, which I don't know if he did or not. I don't really follow Twitter that often. But what I think he needed to do here was to just not engage at all, or kind of like subtweet them, I guess, like in a way, like don't add them or mention them, but just kind of talk about like why it's bad to like advocate for the harassment of people, because once you start engaging with this person, it just gives them kind of a bigger platform to talk about their nonsense with.
These people have no friends. They don't know anybody in real life. They spend their entire lives on the internet. And the original tweet was telling people to follow me around in the game and spam report me to get me banned off of Final Fantasy.
Alright, I don't know if this person has no friends in real life or if they spend all their time on the internet, though. I mean, based on this, it could be that it's usually people who are like terminally online who have this super like dramatic view, though. So maybe that's true, or maybe this person tweets like 3,000 times per day, and that's what Asmongold's talking about. But of course, Asmongold feels attacked here, so he's gonna go attack this person now just because of how he feels about the situation, which kind of makes sense. But that's kind of, I mean, I have no idea if that's true or not.
So whenever a Blizzard employee responds to that and signal boosts that to any degree, I'm going to resent that to an extent. I definitely am. But it's not because he called me an asshole. It's because he's promoting somebody who is literally trying to organize harassment against me.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think I mentioned that, but the problem here is that it's not that he's calling him an asshole, it's that he's advocating and condoning the harassment. That's the problem.
Like, that's really what it is. That should not happen. That absolutely should not fucking happen. And the thing is, like, people say it's his personal account. He's verified on Twitter. He's verified on Twitter because he works at Blizzard. And because he's verified, his account is posted and promoted more in the algorithm because of the verification. So it literally is not his personal account because he's verified as it being the account for the individual that works at Blizzard. So it's...
I mean, it can be both. It could be his personal account, but it's... I mean, he's saying that this only reason he got verified is because he works at Blizzard. Maybe that's true. And I mean, it certainly is the first thing he put in his bio, which automatically is going to be like the only thing some people read. So of course that is the problem. Like maybe if he had put this at first, that would have looked a lot better. But regardless, this is a problem when you've put yourself as a high position at Blizzard and then now you're advocating for the harassment of a person in a video game. Like this is not a good look.
It's just not true. It's just bullshit. You can't say that. Yeah, the guy's a fucking dick. I don't have anything against him. I don't want to see him get fired. I don't want to see him even get in trouble, okay? I don't give a fuck about this kind of stuff, but I think he's a fucking moron, and I think, again, if he had made better products and he had done his job better, maybe you wouldn't think I was an asshole all the time. That's really what it comes down to, is that I do think that they're mismanaging their product. I do think they don't know what they're doing, and it's fucking obvious. They're riding off of the coattails of people that if they were working right now at Blizzard Entertainment, they'd be fired for being problematic. It's pathetic.
Yeah, I said this earlier. I think that the main reason they don't like him is because of how critical he is of the game, not because of how like politically incorrect he is or anything like that. And it seems like at least he kind of agrees, even though earlier he said it's that he's not politically correct, because now he's saying, well, they don't like me because I say bad things about the game, but the game sucks, which, true.
And it's annoying. And you know why it's annoying? It's because they're ruining my favorite games. They're ruining my favorite games day in and day out. And I don't care about the people, I care about the ideas. None of this shit matters to me. None of this is a big deal. Like, people calling me an asshole. I am an asshole. I am. He's right. There's nothing wrong with that. They're mauling because WoW's going down. It's got nothing to do with that. These people don't like me. I live in their head rent-free. Like, I can take a break from streaming, and they'll bring me up probably and talk about me completely on their own volition. You guys...
Yeah, well, I mean, Asmongold is the biggest content creator for WoW, so anytime he's critical of the game, they're gonna feel that. And I think that's what it comes down to, is even if the game was doing good and Asmongold was talking bad about it, that's why they hate him, because he said so many things about the game in the past, like, 15 years or whatever, that of course they don't like him, you know?
You guys know how I have a very good...
Although I think it would be better for the game and the company as a whole if they would take people's criticism seriously, especially Asmongold, who has such a strong force within the community. It would just be a lot better for the game if they would consider what people say about it rather than just think that they're assholes if they don't agree with them.
Good memory. The person that made the original tweet quote retweeted a post that I made saying that people that put pronouns in their bios on Twitter are clowns. And they quote retweeted this 3 years ago.
Okay, so let's see. If you want to avoid clowns on Twitter, a good rule is to stay away from people who have their pronouns in their bio. So this, okay, it's pretty clear why some people might see this as like transphobic, but like you have to think about this, right? You don't have to be trans to put your pronouns in your bio. On top of that, if you just think about the words he's using here, it, like, if someone puts their pronouns, okay, so to Asmongold, if someone puts their pronouns in their bio, it already increases the chance that that person is going to, you know, like, get triggered and attack you for something you say. Now, I don't know if calling them clowns is the best thing here. Like, I don't know if this tweet overall was the best thing, but I don't think in any way could you say this is transphobic, right? Like, he's not against trans people. He's just saying, like, the people on Twitter who put their pronouns in their bio are, on average, going to be more... They're going to troll you or, like, be more toxic towards you than the average person. So, nothing about that is transphobic, though. I don't know if this is the best statement to be making. And then this person says, okay, this transphobic piece of shit is fired. I'm done. Next person to defend this asshole gets a block. Remove him from your brand promotions, Blizzard Entertainment. So this person took the absolute most adversarial position they could. Even though none of this is transphobic, this person's being ultra dramatic for no reason. Probably just for the sensationalism of it. I don't know. I doubt this person actually thinks like this. Like, that would be insane. Just because he said, like, these people who put their because you don't even have to be trans to put your pronouns in your bio. So how is that transphobic? Not really sure. Like, Asmongold has said nothing against trans people, and it's just like so insane that this person would have this take. Like, you're literally, this person is just trying to be as aggravating as possible.
To say that I'm like, to basically talk shit about me, to disagree with me. And this is the same person.
Right, and that's another problem. Is like, Asmongold says something this person disagreed with, so now they're going to use some kind of community that they're part of. Apparently, they might be part of the trans community because they put themselves as a gender expert. So now they're going to say like, oh well, if you attack this point, you're just attacking transgenderism. When no, you're not. You're just being an asshole. And Asmongold just made a tweet because in his experience, most of the people who are, trolling him or like doing like attacking him do this thing where they put their they put their pronouns in their bio. So like, that's pretty much this entire thing is like, Asmongold said something about something he observed. It has nothing to do with like your actual gender or anything like that, just like an act you take on Twitter. And then this person attacked him saying he's transphobic. So completely missed the point, yeah, probably intentionally so. And then Asmongold deals with the backlash of that. But again, I don't know if this tweet was necessarily worded the best he could.
I remember them from 3 years ago. And as soon as that tweet got any traction, the first thing that clown did is they put their fucking PayPal link in there.
Yeah, so it seems like maybe this is what this person does, is they create this like crazy sensationalism on the internet, and then they try to profit off of that. This is kind of cringe unless like you're actually like, you literally have no money. But if you have no money, I don't know why you're spending so much of your time on the internet like tweeting at people. Like, there probably is better things you could do with your time to try to earn some money than doing that. But I mean, I guess if I were actually just like completely poor, like I could see myself like like asking for money if I literally couldn't eat or something, I guess. So I mean, that by itself isn't cringe. It's like how that they went about this, like tweeting at people, quote tweeting Asmongold to like try to get like eyes on the topic, and then asking for money, and then saying, oh, you want to support actually marginalized people like the ones he's bashing. He's not bashing anyone. You're being super dramatic for no reason. Hi, I'm poor and unemployed, and rattles change are like, I mean, that's kind of cringe, I think. But like I said, if you're actually poor and you have no money, I can see myself doing this. But if you're just like, you're creating this whole sensation to ask for money and you're doing this regularly, like, that is just so cringe. Don't do that.
That is the first thing that they did. They immediately put in a link for some people to give them money. It was shameless, pathetic, and it's embarrassing. Absolutely fucking embarrassing. It's actually so fucking pathetic, man. But that's really all I've got to say. Professional victim grifters? Well, they're not professional, okay? They're just victim grifters. If they were professional, they wouldn't need to link their PayPal after every tweet that they get that gets over 100 likes. Like, let's...
I mean, maybe they do that. I don't really know. It's possible that they do that. They like... every time they get like any kind of notoriety on the internet, they just link it. Maybe that's how they make their money. Maybe they're actually poor, and that's just how they make their money. Maybe, I don't know.
Be honest, certainly not professional. I hate people like that, and I want to make sure that people understand this, because I think that many people have noticed this, and I don't think I'm the only person that has noticed that so often that the people that are the most outspoken and the most unhappy about toxicity, the people who are the most unhappy about the way other people are talking on the internet, are the first people to resort to the most vile and vitriolic and personal insults that you can possibly make the second that you step over their invisible line.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if their line is necessarily invisible, but like, this person being marginalized as they claim themselves would probably not want to advocate for anybody to be, harassed, but they advocate for Asmongold's harassment. Like, it's just so weird. Like, why would you, as a person who's apparently marginalized and presumably gets harassed, advocate for the harassment of someone else? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
They are the first people, because the reality is they think that they're in the right. And this is always scary to deal with, is if you ever have somebody who is a zealot or some sort of a fucking extremist in this way or another, and they have these extreme opinions, they believe that if you step over their line, that they basically have complete fucking autonomy to say and do anything they want to you, because they've lived in their own self-radicalized echo chamber for the past 10 years without having any human contact, and they think that they're actually fighting the next revolutionary war. But
That's what I mentioned earlier. As soon as you try to attack any point these kind of individuals on Twitter make, it immediately no longer becomes about the point you're attacking, and it's like they put themselves in front of their argument and say you're just attacking them. So that person might say oh, you're transphobic if you try to attack what they said about Asmongold, even though nothing Asmongold said or anything you reply with would be transphobic. They would say that it's transphobic. Or I guess if you attacked something they said, they could also say you're being ableist because they have autism, when in reality you're not attacking their autism, you're just attacking the points that they're making. And that can that's obviously incredibly hard to deal with on the internet, and that's why I think when Asmongold or anybody kind of comes across these people, the best thing you can do is just not engage with them, because you're gonna probably come away looking worse every single time, just because of how that they generally choose to defend themselves. And it's really hard to kind of show the average person, I guess, that what they're doing is not argumentative at all. They're just pretending to be a victim in this situation when no one is even attacking any of those things. So that's why you should probably just ignore them.
by tweeting. It's pathetic. And I am so sick of seeing people like this. They are so fucking annoying. And I see this constantly. And it's unfortunate to see people at Blizzard play into this. It's unfortunate to see people play into the idea of spam reporting another content creator. Doesn't matter who it is or why they're doing it. It's a disgusting thing to do. And the person that made the comment is disgusting themselves. It's
yeah, harassing people is bad. Don't advocate for the harassment of people. Don't. And then if you're a Blizzard developer, don't fucking support the harassment of people. Especially if you're in a position of authority.
pathetic, and I don't think it should be supported by anyone. I prefer, you know what the truth is? I prefer them calling me an asshole to just ignoring me. I prefer that, because now at least we have a dialogue. Now we have a dialogue. This is totally okay with me.
True, because normally Blizzard doesn't say shit to the players. So, at least when they're calling him an asshole, they're responding to him in some way. True. True.
Because at least that shows, here's the thing, is if they're sitting there calling me a fucking asshole, that means that they care enough about what I say to have a fucking opinion about it. So you know what? I'm totally okay with that. It's totally fine. I'm not mad about it. It's completely okay. Matt's been a half hour elaborating, or doesn't care? Well, the thing is, I don't care about them saying it, but I care about the idea. Does that make sense? So, I care about the idea of these kinds of people that inject themselves and infest themselves into different communities and different groups of people, and then make them worse because they have no idea what they're doing. And yes, of course, I do care about that. But in terms of being called something, this does not personally offend me. Does that make sense? So it's a little bit more of a nuance there, but yeah, that's how I feel about it. Guy wanted to spam report you as 226k tweets. Yeah, they're mentally ill.
Okay, that is insane. You're tweeting a fuck ton to have 226,000 tweets. Relax.
It's actually just that simple. That's not. Yeah, there's something wrong with it.
Also, you should probably be careful. I know that he's saying they have mental illness because of how obsessed they are with the online kind of stuff, like Twitter specifically. But again, if you say this person has a mental illness and they're transgender or they're autistic, now they're going to use that as a way to say oh, you're attacked, you're being ableist, you're being transphobic, even though that wasn't his point. So be careful with that kind of stuff, because he wasn't mentioning the mental illness because of those things, but then they're just going to insert them in front anyway. So
there's probably not just something wrong with them. There's probably like a laundry list of something's wrong with them. I think they're actually autistic based on a profile. Honestly, I don't even think that's a bad thing. Like, there's a lot of people that think that I'm autistic. I don't know if I am. I never got tested for it because you know what? I don't care if I am or not because it doesn't really matter to me. So yeah, people have told me I'm autistic. I have a lot of the symptoms too, or Asperger's or whatever.
well, who's telling you you're autistic? I mean, if someone's telling you you're autistic, that seems a little aggressive, I guess. I don't know. maybe they're looking out for his concern. They're like, Asmongold, we feel like you show some signs of autism. You should get that checked out. When really what I think is happening is people are like, what? Hey, Asmongold, you're being autistic when he says something stupid. So I don't know if people are actually concerned about him or if they're just being toxic, but maybe.
And you know what? That's fine. I don't hold being autistic against anybody. I do hold being a piece of shit against them, though.
Yeah, see, yeah, again, like, he's not talking about that person's autism or their transgenderism. He's talking about their tweeting and what they're saying about him. So
I think that's probably the only that's probably that's probably the best thing about them. Honestly. That's probably the best thing about them.
That is really toxic. Yeah, that's pretty toxic. But again, he's been attacked, so that's why he feels that way.
The thing is, it's not like I will always, I hate this fucking song. Why I hate this song? I literally fucking, this song makes me so mad to listen to it. Like, because it reminds me, you know who it reminds me of? Fucking Sylvanas. Not fucking Sylvanas, but just Sylvanas. It reminds me of that individual that has been infested with it has infested the community. Now, I do think that the story and WoW is, I don't think it's really as bad as people think it is. I don't. But one.
I think it is. I mean, this is probably this one. I think this was actually before 9.1. Maybe not. I don't remember what day 9.1 came out. June, July. Maybe it's already out. It doesn't really matter. Either way, like, when the story is so convoluted that people who only play the story in the game can't even understand what's happening, and then you have Sylvanas changing her mind with something that should have been obvious from the beginning, the story is fucking bad at this point. And I agree that, like, the early story was pretty good, but, like, at this point it's just so horrible that, like, I find it hard that you could even defend it. Like, that's just hard to believe to me.
One of the reasons, like, I think that like, everything surrounding Sylvanas is bad. Like, I do think everything surrounding Sylvanas is bad. But that doesn't mean that the other things that are outside of that are not okay, right? Many of them are completely fine. It's not that big of a deal. But
well, yeah, maybe some of the things outside of Sylvanas are fine, but the problem is Sylvanas is such a main focus on this expansion that, like, that means that the expansion's lore is bad. And she was a main focus of BFA, so BFA's lore was bad. You know, like, when the person that you're saying is bad is the main focus for the lore, then the lore is going to be bad, like, overall, right? Even in the past, if there had been, like, a single person whose lore was bad, they might not have been the focus, so it might not have mattered that much. But now Sylvanas' lore is horrible and she's the focus, so that's why it's bad.
Overall, I do think that it's something they got to work on, because I do think there are a lot of people out there who do really care about the storylines in the games, and those kinds of things matters a lot to them. And whenever they see those storylines getting butchered, whenever they see those things being changed or being removed or something like that, and just kind of being mismanaged, I think that makes a lot of people disappointed.
We have to remember, there's a lot of reasons people play World of Warcraft, right? It's not just because they like the, like, raids and the dungeons. Some people really love PvP. Some people really love collecting all the stuff at the end of the game, and some people really love the lore, like Noble and Bellular. They really love the lore. So of course, if the lore is bad, that entire part of the player base who plays, at least in part because of the lore, they're now kind of put off from the game because the lore is bad. Just like when every fucking mount is just a reskin of previous mounts, Asmongold hates the game because, like, that's what he does. He likes collecting the mounts. He likes collecting all the stuff in the game. So if it's just a reskin, it just feels bad to the people who like to play that way. So yeah, there's multiple reasons people play the game. Lore is one of them. So when it's bad, it does create a problem with part of the player base.
And I do think it's turned into a Mary Sue situation. I think they should kill Sylvanas off and move on. I think they need to make new, better
They didn't do that.
characters and stop trying to co-opt old characters to push new ideas. It's, I think, frustrating for everybody, and I think that it's the same as, there's like a kind of separate thing, right? Is like if somebody wants to make a comic book, like we've always seen these, right? These comic books that'll like push these like political agendas. I'm completely okay with that, but not when it's Thor, not when it's Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, sometimes it makes sense. Like Captain America is pushing like a political ideology of like kind of unification. Like that makes sense. He's Captain America, you know, of like I don't know what kind of political narrative Thor would be pushing, but like it doesn't matter. Like, well, of course, like it's one thing if a person pushes a narrative with something that they're aligned to, like that makes sense. But with Sylvanas, like she's kind of been reused so much throughout the entire Warcraft lore that like I don't even know what her actual beliefs are on anything anymore. Like nothing even makes sense anymore with Sylvanas. Where like if you have like Spider-Man, who in the comic books is like now a new person, at least that makes sense because they're a new person so they can push their own things. When you have like a character that just inhabits like an ideology like Spider-Man or Captain America, then you can have that like person in the comic books be replaced with a new person that you want to have like at least a slightly different view or different views on like some things to push that. But with Sylvanas, it's the same person, and yet her like motivations seem to have changed like 50,000 times, and her intelligence is somewhere between Doctor Strange and fucking SpongeBob. Like it just randomly, like she'll just miss the most important thing that like is so obvious, or like she'll just know like some crazy minor detail that no one else could even guess. So I don't know. Like I feel like that point doesn't make sense. Like comic books can be used to push political narratives. That's fine. It's just like as long as the narrative makes sense for the character. But then you have like Sylvanas, who's trying to push like I don't even know what she's trying to do. Like her ideology just doesn't align with anything she's done in this expansion. Or I guess her ideology has taken such a drastic change from what it was before that she's now basically a different person. Like that's the problem. The problem is that her like motivations don't make sense for previous like things that we know about her character. It's not that she's trying to push something.
Not when it's Captain America. Or Captain America is kind of a political ideology in itself, right? It's the first thing is fighting the Nazis. But like in general, like it's don't take something that already has an established precedent and then change it.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to say it. Like don't take something like Sylvanas, who already has like clear beliefs and motivations for doing things, and then just fucking change those. Like it's fucking weird.
Based off of your worldview, and that's what I don't like to see happen. And that's what it comes down to. Everything's political, though. Well, of course it is, but it doesn't mean that like everything is political. Well, then, if everything's political, then why do you have to make everything political if it's already intrinsically political?
All right, I have no idea what the fuck is happening here. Like, no, I don't know. Okay, sure. Like, I guess everything's like technically political. I don't know. That's not really true. Like, not everything's political. Like, I don't think so. I don't even think Sylvanas is political at all. Like, I don't think they're using her to make any kind of political statement. I think that they just ran out of fucking ideas, and then they know that people like Sylvanas, so then they're like, oh, we're gonna make her the villain now. And then once they're like, oh, she's the villain, and then they're like, wait, we have so many people that like her. How are we gonna save her? And then they have to come up with some bullshit for how she doesn't have to actually die at the end of Sanctum of Domination. Like I don't think anything that they've done is like political, like unless you're considering like that these people don't want to be like chained up or enslaved as political. But I feel like at least in part that's been Sylvanas's like motivation for most of the time. Like she didn't want to be controlled by Arthas. Like that's why she was able to break free from like under his control, right? But then now she's okay with being controlled by the jailer. Like it's just weird. Like why did she change her views like that? Like in my opinion, that's not political at all. But like, I guess to the chat in Asmongold, that is political.
Huh? Think about that. It's not about being political. It's about overt lecturing. Yeah, nobody. The thing is, like, this is another thing, right? Is like with stuff like that, nobody wants to be lectured and condescended to by somebody who draws pictures for a living. Okay, it's extremely patronizing.
But I don't know who's like lecturing anybody though. Like I'm so confused. I feel like I'm missing some context here. I have no idea what they're talking about. I don't know if anything Sylvanas has done is like preaching about anything. I have no idea what they're talking about.
And I think that most people resent it. That's all it comes down to. Yeah, it's just, it's ridiculous.
Okay, so that was this whole video. I hope you guys found that kind of breakdown at least a little bit useful or entertaining. If you did, like and subscribe. It would be sick if you did that. Also, if there is another video like this that you think is like Asmongold creating some pretty good points against Blizzard, or like any kind of confrontation he has with any of Blizzard employees, put that in the comments, because then I could react to those and do like the same kind of thing. But I do have a few of these other videos that I want to do this with from Asmongold, because I mean, he's the highest profile WoW player and he has the most adversarial position against the Blizzard community and the Blizzard developers. So I think it's a good he's kind of like a good person to look at for this kind of stuff. So that's where I'm at with this. But yeah, that's all. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye.